This is Allison Thompson, Director at Marshall Public Library, representing the Friends of the Library's Oral History Project. This afternoon, I'm talking with Darrell Harlow. On August 25th, 2015, we are at Burnside's Community Health Center in Marshall, Illinois. And Darrell has a strong history in Marshall, and he's going to tell us just a little bit about it. Darrell, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you were born?
I was born in Martinsville, Illinois. Oh, you don't know the date, do you? My parents were Walter and Martha Harlow. I had 2 sisters and 2 brothers, Floyd and Lloyd Harlow, Marie Hills, and Zola Wolf. I was the youngest child.
Now, what year were you born? You started to say, but...
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
April 2nd, 1925.
1925. And were you born in your home?
Yes.
I think that was pretty standard back then, wasn't it?
Hard to believe.
It is. It really is. And so how long did you live in that house where you were born?
I was born in 25, and I was there till I was 17. And I ran off and got married.
At 17?
Yes.
Look at you. So we're skipping ahead here a little bit, but since we're there, tell me about this woman. She must have been something.
She was. We went to high school together in Martinsville, and we fell in love about my sophomore year, I guess, and was together the rest of the high school years. And soon after we got out of high school, I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. And I had a Model A Ford, and we drove to St. Louis, got married.
And so was she 17 too?
No, she was 18.
Oh, okay. Look, you've got an older woman then.
And we asked 2 of our high school friends, they weren't married, a man and woman, to go along as our
Witnesses.
yeah. And we were married by Justice of the Peace in St. Charles, Missouri. And had to drive back the same day because they weren't married.
And they had a curfew.
So I stayed at my sister's house first night, Zola Wolf. And that was the starting of it.
And how long were you married?
63 years.
That's wonderful.
It was.
And what was her name?
Rogine.
Rogine. Mm-hmm. Her maiden name?
Morgan.
Morgan, mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm curious, did your parents know about this?
No.
So tell me a little bit about their reaction to this.
Well, my dad said, he had a good sense of humor. He said, well, son said he's going to St. Louis. I guess he must have went to the zoo and look what he brought back. That sounded like my dad. I think my parents took it much better than hers did.
Oh, yeah? What did her parents say?
Well, I don't know. I didn't get involved in that too much. Anyhow, I don't think they were ready for it. But anyhow, we made it. And,
so were you graduated yet, or were
yes.
you still seniors? So you were graduated. Okay.
Yep.
Now, rewinding a bit to your childhood, tell me what life was like growing up.
Pretty tough. Everybody was very poor. And I rode a bicycle to high school my freshman and sophomore year, 4 miles every morning, 4 miles every night.
Wow.
And then I got me a job working on the railroad that summer, extra gang. I was 15, I told him I was 16, and worked on the railroad that summer and bought me a Model A Ford. And everything was go from then on.
It was all good once you got the Ford.
That's right.
Now, when you were a kid, did you have a farm?
Yes, small farm.
A small farm. So what was a day like on the farm?
Well,
growing up?
My dad was heavy in produce business, and we put out what we call truck garden, tomatoes, cucumbers, all that. Mm-hmm. And you take them to the growers market in Terre Haute.
Okay.
And Him and Mother stay over there. And when I came out of the service, I worked with, we put out 10 acres that first year of produce and hauled it to Terre Haute to the market. Mother and Dad had a little trailer and they stayed over there, and we shipped it over to them and to sell. Pretty tough times, but we made it.
So on the farm, what were some of the chores and different things that you had to do kind of on a daily basis?
Well, we had chickens, had a couple of cows to milk. Not many chores, daily chores to do, because Dad was in the produce part of the business. And cut wood, of course. Carry wood in. He had a smokehouse. That was, we'd butcher our own hogs and so forth, and they smoked the meat in the smokehouse, and that was wonderful days. My mother, we had chickens, and she had a family down. Darrell really enjoyed this. She'd kill a chicken, get it by the head, crank it off like you.
And then it'd run around still. Yeah, I've heard stories about that. And, you know, dinner time was so different because you were killing your own.
That's right.
You know, animals to eat. So tell me about dinner time. I mean, what was a meal like?
Oh, it was just good food. Dad smoked his own hams, and we'd butcher a hog every year, and bacon and all that stuff. Had a little smokehouse.
So you would have to smoke your meat then to keep it preserved.
Right. Oh, yeah, and then we'd always build a great big mound in the garden in the fall and bury all the produce.
Okay.
Potatoes, everything. And then put straw and dirt, build a big mound there. That was your refrigerator for the winter.
I was getting ready to ask you, what did you do to keep things cool for the winter?
Just cut a hole in it and start taking it out during the winter.
Interesting.
I thought it was very fascinating.
That is very fascinating. Except for meat, you would go ahead and cure it, like dry it and
smoke it.
Smoke it. Very interesting.
And we had a pump and a well out in the backyard, and we had an opening there, and Mother would put the butter and things like that down in the well on a string and bring it up when you needed it.
So different from today, isn't it?
Yeah.
So different.
No refrigeration then, of course.
Right.
The old-fashioned telephone on the wall.
Oh yeah, I was just talking with somebody else about their memories of the telephone. So how many people were on your party line?
Quite a few, I think. I don't know, I don't remember how many, but it was quite interesting. A lot of them get on there and they wanted to know everybody's business, you know.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to ask you. Did you ever listen to anybody's business?
We didn't, but Mother didn't, but a lot of them did. It was quite an era of time.
What other changes in technology have really impacted you over the years? I mean, the telephone's one thing that's just very different. What else?
Well, actually, it's been everything. I mean,
the refrigeration.
It's just been everything. It's what we've seen over the years. But actually, we was in the food business. I think it was 1996 when the computer age come out, and we had to go to new kind of cash registers in our IGA store. Well, that's when I said, this is enough. And thank God, we retired. Sold the business and retired. Started going to Florida. But this, I'll never go, in that computer age, I knew I was done. I didn't want to get into that.
So, fast forwarding a bit, when did you move to Marshall? So you grew up in Martinsville. So at what point did you move to Marshall? Was that after you got married or before you got married?
After we got married.
After you got married?
Yes,
okay.
We rented an apartment in Martinsville at first. And then I come back, when I came back from service, that's when we went to Marshall and started, we set up a produce stand over there, put a building up, and sell produce. And that's where we started.
Was that in Terre Haute that you said
Marshall.
that? Oh, in Marshall. Okay. So you got married. You lived in Martinsville for a little while, but then were you drafted or?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the draft.
Well, I went to Chicago with I was 18 and I got my draft notice. I went to Chicago for the induction and physical, all that, thinking I was going in the Army. And I got very lucky. When it came to my time going through the line, they stamped Navy on my paper. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I spent my time in Pearl Harbor 2.5 years. Never saw any action at all. I really got lucky.
What stands out to you the most about your experience or time in Pearl Harbor? What do you remember most about Pearl Harbor?
The hula girls.
The hula. So the hula girls.
Oh, that's quite an area. Back in those days, it's a wonderful area. Still is, of course. But no, I worked in an office there, and another guy and my boss was a woman. We didn't like that too well, but we tolerated it. But it got so bad that I asked to be transferred. So I went down into the warehouse, and they give me a crew of men, and we'd unload the ships as they come in, and all that kind of stuff. And that was quite a job because they'd run up and hide on you.
Oh,
you're trying to get that.
Your workers would, the crew.
But it was I liked it better than working up in an office. I think one of the experiences and he just passed away, Lee Greenwell from Martinsville. Mm-hmm. He had started a funeral home in Martinsville, and he got drafted. And I was in the barracks in Honolulu, and I looked out one day, and there were 2 or 3 guys on what they call a honey wagon, just picking up garbage. Mm-hmm. And Lee Greenwell was one of the guys from Martinsville, and we got to talk right then. I just went to his funeral last week.
Aww.
97 years old.
And how old are you today?
90.
90.
Mm-hmm. Yep. April 2nd. Been very lucky. Very, very lucky. Other than losing my wife, I've had a wonderful life. Three daughters.
When you returned from Pearl Harbor, tell me what life was like then. What did you continue with the market, or what?
Oh.
Is that when your family started?
Well, number one, we rented a house out on Clarksville Road, and we got 2 orange crates. You remember the double orange crates? About that high, had a divider and a second in the center. And Rogine made her a vanity.
Dresser.
That was how tough things were. We lived out there on the Clarksville Road. And she went to work at Terre Haute. And I got lucky and got a job at Micklebury Meat Company. And started delivering meat by refrigerated truck. And I was with them for 16 years. And they didn't pay a good salary. I got moved up to supervisor over 6 routes, but anyhow, that didn't pay off at all. Finally got smart. I got a chance to buy the IGA store in Marshall. And I went to Martinsville to a good friend of mine who's in the banking business and borrowed $100,000.
Which was a lot.
That was a lot of money then. Mm-hmm. And we went in business for ourselves. And that's worked out very well. We had a dog and suds too, 20-some years, didn't we?
Were both of those, so Marshall IGA and the Marshall Dog and Suds? So tell me about business. Tell me about your times as a business owner at IGA.
Well, it was worked out very well. We worked hard. Of course, a 7-day-a-week operation, But we were very successful in the store, but we worked it hard, we
Right.
stayed right with it all the time. Had an assistant manager. We finally worked up to the point we could go to Florida some in the winter and turn it over to the assistant manager. And then in the middle of the 90s, that's when we sold the store and actually officially retired. But,
And you bought it when? I don't know if I caught a year on that.
what year did I buy it? Can't remember the IGAs.
60s, it was in the 60s. Because I was in junior high or high school.
I don't know, we had it about 30 years, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So were those the two businesses then you had?
Mhm.
Tell me about Dog and Suds.
Oh, it was wonderful. We enjoyed that. We had car hops and
Oh yeah, that was
we were one of our car
popular.
hops.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did very well.
Now, were you still the owners when it closed? Okay. No, why did
No, I'd sold it to,
You bought it back though. The Dog and Suds?
Mhm.
You bought it back, remember? You sold it to Al Wesley and then you bought
What?
it back. Al Wesley,
yeah, well, Wessel.
but then you bought it back.
Yeah, yeah. Now we closed it.
How long did you have the Dog and Suds?
20-some years, wasn't it? 25 maybe?
Did you start it then in Marshall, the Dog and Suds?
Uh-huh.
That's neat.
I was traveling on the road from Micklebury, and they had put one in Robinson, Illinois. Very neat. You ever seen one of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That house was a very unique building. So I called Champaign and got some information. Till it all started. And we bought the building. It was a prefab building made up in Danville. Started the Dog and Suds. And it was a good business. It was wonderful. We'd have new employees every year. High school girls, and our daughters worked there. It was a lot of memories at Dog and Suds.
It's a fun place.
It
It
was.
is a fun place.
Very was. Really was.
When you think back about your life, what are some of the historical events that really stand out to you? For example, I remember when 9/11 happened, and I can remember what I was doing and where I was at, and there's those moments in your life where you just never forget. And so I didn't know if you wanted to share maybe some of those.
Well, I can remember one very well. I was traveling up north in Illinois, and they started to build these storage buildings. So I'd gone up north to check out one up there to see if I wanted to get involved in it. I'd talked to my banker. I was coming back the night of the presidential election, and who's the guy from Georgia?
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. It was 9, 10 o'clock at night, and they announced that he got elected president.
Mm-hmm.
I just could not believe that. But anyhow, it turned out really good. He's a nice guy. I'll never forget that night. There's been a lot of, I could just think about them.
And I'm sure your children were milestone events. So tell me a little bit about your children, who they were, and
Darrell and Jeannie and Sherry. We had 3 daughters, and they all went to high school in Marshall. And Sherry married Bob Crocker, and they have 1 son. Darrell married George Smith. She had 3 daughters and a son. And Jeannie Strome married Larry Strome, and they had 2 daughters and a son. So we've got some grandchildren from each one of them.
now, Where do you live now?
Florida.
In Florida. So you're Florida full time. When did you move from Marshall to Florida?
Oh, after Eugene passed away, next year, wasn't it, honey? I sold the house. Sold the big house.
Where did you live in Marshall? I don't know that I asked you that.
Where the writers colony.
Out
Writers colony. The writers colony.
Writers Colony.
Mm-hmm. So the old,
Jimmy.
yeah, James Jones
James
home.
Jones.
Okay.
No, it wasn't anything. It was the cabin was. There was still a cabin out there
Mm-hmm.
where they had bunks. That was the only building that was left out. Well, no, her house was out there when we bought it, and we tore it down, and built a new home out there. she went into orbit.
So this is Lowney's house you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
you tore it down,
Yeah.
and then so the house that's there now isn't the original?
No.
Well, part of
the bunks, the bunk house for the writers is still there.
Okay.
And that's where our son Quentin lives now.
Okay.
Dad and Mom fixed that up, and then.
See, we sold the big
Quentin.
house after Rosie passed
Okay.
away, and we looked around Marshall trying to find a house to buy, and we wanted to downsize somewhat. Couldn't find anything, so anyhow, we ended up taking the little barracks building and making a home out of it. And it turned out very, very nice, I thought. It cost $100,000 to do it. But anyhow, we was pretty happy about it. And we lived there for a number of years.
So tell me about the barracks, because I know that so many people like hearing about the James Jones story.
Yeah.
So tell me how it was, and then how you changed it.
Oh, well, there was four or five doors going into each person's part of the barracks, you know. So this is quite extensive. It's very expensive what we did out there. But I found a guy, what was his name?
Arbuckle worked on it. didn't he?
Warren Arbuckle.
And
He was one of the
Glenn.
best carpenters in Marshall. And he took on the project. And we added the same amount on the back side of it that was on the front, the way it's facing there, going into the pond. And made a one-bedroom house out of it. And it turned out nice, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we pretty well copied that from our park model in Florida, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
The floor plan. And that was our home then. We enjoyed it very much. Very quiet out there. So then after Rosie passed away, I had a bad frame of mind, so I decided to sell it. And so I didn't want to stay there. And I had a guy come and look at it, made me an offer on it. And I got a call from her son. Popo, I'd like to buy that house. That's how it all happened. Because I had an offer on it, and I was ready to move on it. I'm so happy because he just loves it out there. You see the squirrels and wildlife out there. It's deer comes right down into the woods right there by it. You know.
It's like your country in town.
It was. It really
Yeah,
was.
it
Had
is.
a nice bright creek running through the bottom of it, behind it there, and
Did you ever do any tours? Because it is sort of a famous site.
We did 2 years ago when the writers were here and they had the Writers Colony reunion.
Mm-hmm.
We opened the house up and the people
Neat.
went through it.
first time, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a neat history behind
The little
that.
building out there had what was the game? Croquet. It's there's some score sheets and so forth out there in the little building from the Writers Colony, and one area had been a shower room, one other room is for the little building there. The little building's still there too. We just fixed it up. A lot of history there, really.
So You came back to visit your family. How long have you been in Florida again? You said that after your wife died. When did she pass away?
2003.
03? 03.
So you've been in Florida since
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah. So now this daughter moved down there right across the street from me. Her and her husband.
Florida.
So you have a home down there too. How fun. That's nice though. Brings some of Marshall to
Yeah,
you in Florida.
So it's a nice park. And it's worked out very well.
So tell me about Rosie the Riveter.
Thank you, Darrell.
She's over here helping probe me here.
My wife went to Chicago, her and a friend of hers, and got a job in a plant up there. And she was a small lady, and she'd get clear up in the fuselage, buck rivets, Rosie the Riveter. This was Rosie the Riveter. And she was up there while I was in the service, and she made some good money. And I think one of the proudest things, when I come out of the Navy, she had saved enough money that we went down to Simpson Geckler Chevrolet Buick place and bought a new Chevrolet red car, 4-door.
Oh, that's
Paid
exciting.
cash for it. I'll never forget it. So she did well.
And she waited for you to go do that.
What?
And she waited for you to go buy that new car.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, she stayed in Chicago working. But one of the sad part of me coming home, I had a brother that I thought I just loved. I had two brothers, one was good and one bad. And he passed away the day before I got home in the Navy. And so when I got off the train in Marshall, or Terre Haute, that was the first message I got. And he was only 38 years old. Boy, that was a hard one.
How did he pass away?
He had emphysema and he couldn't breathe. His doctor had told him he should move to Arizona, and his wife wouldn't do it, so she was only 38 years old when he passed away.
Yeah, that's young.
And I had another brother that wasn't worth shooting. And I'll tell that to anybody. So that's what could happen to you. But he was like a second dad to me.
Now, how old were your parents
Dad was
before they passed?
65, 66 maybe. Mother was about 70, early 70s, wasn't she?
I thought she was in her 80s. I thought she was in her 80s. Grandma.
No, I don't think she made that.
I can't remember.
Tell me about Harlow's Market.
Oh, we didn't get into that one, did we? Oh my, that was a long story. All I can remember is that she'd get up there at the counter, checkout lane, and flirt with all the old men. They'd buy her gum and all that kind of stuff every time they'd come through the store.
So this is a good memory for her too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we started Harlow Market. I forgot about that.
Now, what was Harlow's Market?
It was a grocery store at the south end of town.
Okay, now was this before IGA or
After.
after IGA?
No, before IGA.
Before IGA.
Yeah, we closed it then and made a coin laundry out of the building.
Okay. Where was it at?
South 6th Street, 1002 South 6th.
Okay. Here in
Yeah.
town, here in Marshall.
Uh-huh. You know where you turn to go to TRW?
Mm-hmm.
Right there on the corner where it was.
Okay.
They just
Yeah.
tore it down
Yeah.
recently.
I remember the building.
Yeah, Harlow Market was a nice little grocery store, but when I opened the IGA store, that ruined us.
Mm-hmm.
We even had credit, give people credit on the Harlow Market, and I was not a good collector, but Rosie was. If they got behind on a grocery bill, she was knocking on their door. She was a daddy.
Well, small town, you could do that,
That's
right?
right.
You knew
That's right.
people.
Yep.
So it was shortly after you opened IGA that Harlow's Market closed?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, we closed it before we went in the store, I think.
Now, was there a speed wash somewhere in here too?
That was,
That was after the Harlow Market.
Okay.
Made a coin lottery out of the building.
Okay.
Oh my God. You remember it all, don't you?
So it went Harlow's Market to kind of like a coin laundry?
Yeah, Speed Wash called it.
Speed
coin
wash
laundry.
was a laundry. Okay.
That was the name of the wash machines.
Okay.
and you could dry your hair while your clothes were washed. They had a hair dryer.
Oh, they had a hair dryer in case you didn't hear that on the recorder. You could wash your hair or wash your clothes and dry your hair at the same time. So this was like a beauty shop / coin laundry.
And we had so many other things going with. I hired Ray Murphy to take care of the machines, repairs, so forth,
Right.
for the dryers and wash machines. So he did that for us for a good many years.
Who did that?
Ray Murphy,
Okay.
and he's still alive too. He's
Mm-hmm.
same age as me. Then I got him a job, Micklebury. In fact, he took my job, didn't he? When I left Micklebury, Ray took my route. And I guess he's the only longtime friend I've got left in Marshall.
What about KFC? I'm just finding that there's more layers here.
Okay, I was in a partnership and we built a new Kentucky Fried Chicken in Casey, Illinois. And so, since I lived in Marshall, the other, one partner was from Clinton and the other two was from Champaign. So I got the job of opening the business and getting it going and so forth. Plus we had one in Marshall too. And so I'd work the noon hour in Marshall and then I would leave and go to Casey, get home about midnight that night. I was at the KFC in Casey and Rogie was running the one there in Marshall. It hasn't been an easy life.
A busy one. So, did you have IGA while you had KFC?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were doing IGA, KFC, and Dog and Suds was gone at this point?
Yeah.
They tore it down, and that's where the KFC was.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because the Dog and Suds, it's the same location where KFC went, right?
That's
And
right.
now it's
Human Resources.
the Human Resource Center.
Yeah.
And it still has the look of a KFC on the exterior, which is neat. How long was the KFC open?
2 or 3 years, I guess.
Longer than
So-
that.
Was it longer than that? Oh yeah, I leased it to, I hired a guy in Terre Haute, didn't I?
At least, don't you think maybe 10?
It was never very profitable. I had some bad problems there with the KFC. A lot of free chicken going through the window. Manager was a pretty generous guy. And we had a KFC in Casey too, in partnership. I told you that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was responsible for that. It's been a very spread out life, I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are some of your proudest moments?
Well, I think some of them was every 18 months, we got to go on a trip, IGA trip, for some country. And it was anybody that had an IGA store in our area. And they were wonderful trips. We flew a lot, Portugal, and a lot of different areas. And I can't say one of our highlights, I guess, every 18 months.
That
We'd
sounds
get together
fun.
with all of our
Yeah.
fellow retailers and take about an 8-day, 10-day trip. It was wonderful. Saw a lot of countries.
What's your favorite place that you've traveled?
I think Portugal was one of the most clean, and then there's another one there that I liked. What was it there, Lee? The young man, so nice. Can't remember the name of the area.
What did you like about Portugal?
Just clean, very and very nice people, beautiful country. Well, all of them. I guess the worst one was, God, I can't think of the name of it. It's part of the United States.
Mexico, well, not part of it, but Mexico was
No.
close by.
Huh. Anyhow, there's having a lot of rioting down there now. It is part of the United States. I can't think of the name of the country now, area. I had a good friend from Danville, and I was at this place. We went to the liquor store and bought a lot of beer, and we iced it in his bathtub. And his wife had to come to somebody else's room to take a bath.
And this was one of those IGA trips?
Yeah. Oh, it was, God, what was the name of that country? Can't.
Ever think of the Virgin Islands? When you went to Virgin Islands, you went to Portugal, you went to Venezuela, you went to Spain.
Yeah.
You went to Ireland, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Went to Hawaii.
That was one of the highlights for sure.
Yeah.
I got to go back, see my old barracks and everything, but boy, downtown it sure changed.
Mm-hmm. Did they still have the hula girls?
Yeah, a little different. Oh boy.
Well, is there anything that you would have changed or done differently?
In my life,
Mm-hmm.
well, probably in as much as we were both working so much and so forth, that'd been something I would change because one was to run the business 24/7, you know.
Mm-hmm.
One or the other. But when we got those IGA trips, things like that, why, it made up for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't think of too much I'd change in my life. It wasn't an easy life, but very happy life. So that's,
It sounds like it. Sounds like a very full life in many ways.
yes. We worked well together, a good team, and we worked hard and played hard.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Nothing wrong with that. Is there anything else that you would like to add that we have not discussed?
No, I can't think of anything it wasn't a perfect life, but I can't think of anything right now I would change. But we had some pretty happy times. We used to go to Branson, Missouri every year in the fall. We loved it down there then. That was known as the largest parking lot in the world because that is one street going into there, you know, and you could be on one street for a couple, 3 miles. Might take you an hour or two. Traffic.
Oh, yeah.
That's before they built it up down there. But we loved it down there. Used to see a lot of good shows. It was our highlight time of the year, I think, when we'd go in the fall. We'd go just right after school started, and it wouldn't be so busy. But it was a beautiful area, and a lot of good shows down there. And we just loved it.
And you would take the kids. I'm sure the kids loved that too.
No.
No?
It was kind of their anniversary.
Oh, so you went without the kids.
Yeah.
This is why this memory stands out.
No.
August 29th.
August 29th. was our
August
wedding
29th is your anniversary. And you were married 63 years, you said?
Yeah.
Wow. What a great life you've lived.
Yes, we have. We
A
did.
great life.
We really have, and I've been very fortunate in a lot of ways, and I appreciate that. I'm still walking and talking.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. And I know that many in our community will enjoy hearing your stories and will be able to share some of these memories with you. and especially your family will enjoy these for years to come. So
Well,
thank you so much for your time today.
Well, I was really dreading this, but I'll relax now. I feel pretty good about it.
Good.
It's we're talking about the happy memories now, so that's the good part.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Well, thank you again.
You're welcome.